Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. It's your T-shirted historian. Welcome to another week in Geek. All right. So, as I said on Tuesday, one of the reasons that stream was late was because we were busy battening down the hatches over here, preparing for some very, very nasty cold weather. And we got it. We did. It's like Wednesday, the temperature was all the way down to 8 in the morning, which I know, like most of you Canadians and stuff up there are going like, T-shirt, you weenie. That's underwear wearing weather. We just wandered around outside in our underwear. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's great for you, but this is West Texas, okay? We're not built that way. On the other hand, we laugh at you whenever we're sitting around in 100-degree heat going, it's not so bad. But yeah, I was down to like 8 or 9 here, and what really sucked is the fact that we didn't have enough precipitation to have any kind of a deep freeze or anything. So it was just cold and miserable. But no snow, no ice, nothing. Just cold and dry. And that continued right on into Wednesday. Or actually, I said right on into Thursday, where it got slightly warmer. And Friday, where it got slightly warmer. I think it got all the way up to like 23. To today, where it is still cold, but it is warming up slowly. And then next week looks like it's going to be no big deal. I know, you're not here to hear the weather forecast. I'm just letting you know. This is just kind of what happened to us this week. Kind of sucked. I really like my snow days. I really like my frozen days. I mean, Detroit apparently got flooded. So they were under 3 or 4 feet of water, which all turned to ice. So you had cars almost completely submerged in ice blocks. I'm kind of guessing that most services kind of broke down that day, and probably for a few days afterward. Plus, I'm also thinking about all the insurance companies having to pay out on all those cars, and I'm just going, your asses. This is your ass here, buddy. Going to be a lot of new cars in Detroit here pretty soon. But anyway, I'm glad to see everybody's out there in YouTube land, and I'm glad you're here, and we got a fun show. We got some fun panelists. We have nothing in particular to discuss today just because it's just been that kind of week. I mean, it's like stuff has happened, but nothing major has been announced. But we do got a few little tidbits here. Why don't we go ahead and bring our panelists on? We'll start off with my man, Graham.
Hello.
How are you doing, sir?
All right.
Have you actually ever been in 8-degree weather? And I'm Fahrenheit, not Celsius.
Let me figure out what that is.
Okay. And find out in freedom units. Schnutsky!
Hell, I'm having a wonderful time.
And then I have Mr. Patio Cakes.
Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Check this out. Yeah. Lord Thaw says negative 30 degrees Celsius with wind chill this morning. Lancelot was even cold. Well, what is negative 30 degrees Celsius? I mean, because if it's like negative 30 Fahrenheit, I know that's like, life as you know it is going to end soon.
What is it? You carry the 3 minus the 32. Oh, no one cares.
Real people don't use those units.
No, not the sane, sensible ones.
Yeah.
I think Celsius will be becoming the freedom unit soon. So the coldest temperature ever recorded in the UK was minus 27.2 degrees centigrade. And no, I haven't been in anything that cold. Because I live in the south. And your 8 Fahrenheit is about minus 13.
Okay. Ironcaster has arrived wearing his silly avatar.
Yes.
I thought a cat had killed him and taken over his computer.
The kitty cat.
He does have a cat.
And a meow, meow, meow.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess probably the first thing we need to mention is that, yeah, apparently the Broccolis have, I know that's a great name, I know. The Broccolis have sold, given over whatever the rights to James Bond to Amazon.
Yep.
Now, I'm really not sure what to think about this because on the one hand, it was the Broccolis that kind of ruined James Bond there in the end, you know, making him a little bit more fifi and, you know, a little bit more punked out, especially in that last movie, the one that, you know, Daniel Craig just kind of phoned in, and it seemed like he was really, really glad that the series was over with.
Hey,
Yeah.
teacher, I got a great idea. Let's take something that inherently appeals to men, and we'll try to make it appeal to women. Are you still going to try to make it appeal to men? No, we're going to abandon them because we think we already have them. And now it appeals to no one, and we don't know what to do.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I honestly, I thought Craig was good. I mean, I love Casino Royale.
Yeah, that one's good.
That one is a really good movie.
But the problem was Austin Powers just completely ruined the dynamic for the James Bond brand.
Do you really think so?
Absolutely. Think about it. Like after those first two Austin Powers movies came out, like the whole spy thing got turned into a big parody and became so mainstream. They didn't want anything to do with that, and so so it's that as well as Jason Bourne came about. So you have a couple of other spy alternatives that just kind of, as far as the owners were concerned, tainted the idea of James Bond. So they had to try to fundamentally change him.
I don't think they would have had to do that. And Ironcaster, can you run that back one more time? Where I think you'd said that Austin Powers came out, and that's what did you say? It came out around the time that Daniel Craig's movies were coming out.
I don't think that's right, but
yeah, I don't think that's right. Pierce Brosnan was doing like The World Is Not Enough around the time I think The Spy Who Shagged Me came out. If I recall.
Let's see. Actually, you're right. You're right. I'm getting my timeline a little turned around, but it was,
a
combination of right. It was a combination of that and the Jason Bourne franchise that both became really big as these other spy properties.
But what about what was that? Maybe T-shirt remembers. What was the one that had Dean Martin and he was like a spy?
Oh,
Diamonds
damn.
Are Forever?
Get Smart.
No, that was no.
There was Our Man Flint, which was a piss take.
That was James Coburn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up real quick. Let me see here.
I know the one that you're thinking about. It's like the Misfits or the something or other.
Was it Silencers?
Agent Matt Helm?
Yeah, Matt Helm.
Matt Helm, that's right. Yeah, the Matt Helm movies.
Yeah,
So
the Silencers.
there was that
Good job,
one.
Archer.
Bourne didn't have as much of a cultural impact here, I don't think. It's just another set of thrillers, really.
Yeah.
It doesn't exactly occupy the same space. And then Kingsman we had, and the first one of those
Kingsman.
was really good and did really well. Second one, not so good.
Crap.
The prequel was pretty good, surprisingly good, actually.
I had already tuned out by that point, so I never watched it. But I mean, Archer has a good point here. He says Amazon actually does seem to do spy thriller stuff pretty well, and it does. I mean, because they have Jack Reacher, they did American Sniper, all these spy thriller type things. Well, they even did that crappy one with the dude from Game of Thrones that kind of went nowhere. Richard, what's his name?
What, the Bodyguard one? Or
No, the one where he and his, I don't know, agent, wife, girlfriend, whatever, are like somehow cryogenically frozen or their minds are altered or some shit. And I don't know. I didn't watch this shit. I think I watched like about a whole 15 minutes of it and said, yeah, this is okay. But I really got some anime to watch. So.
Well, you know what else? You know what else happened around that same time as well, outside of what I was mentioning? 9/11, the War on Terror. Just the way we looked at larger geopolitics fundamentally changed, and so they wanted Bond to change with the times.
Yeah. And I can understand wanting a Bond to change with the times, but not in such a way as to alter the character to where he becomes unrecognizable, like what he did by the time that series ended.
So they've kind of done the same thing 3 times, right? So with Timothy Dalton, they tried to change it and make it serious and gritty and up to date, and made it much more about drugs and stuff because that was the big thing at the time. It didn't really land, which is a shame because his Bond is really good, but the films aren't. Right, and then Pierce Brosnan, they kind of stripped things back a bit and made him a bit more serious to start off with GoldenEye, and then it got ridiculous as you went through his films. It kind of ended up in the same sort of territory as Roger Moore on the ridiculousness scale, and then they reset it again, with the last lot of films, but instead of going ridiculous or being too serious, they just kind of pussified Bond to the point where he's no longer really Bond. I trying to appeal to a female audience. I mean, Bond has been a sex symbol for a very, very long time without having to be changed. Women want.
Well, now he's appealing. He's appealing to a different demographic now, Grim. A different kind of sex symbol.
Emotions.
I remember at the time that Casino Royale came out, there was articles being written about how this is not your dad's James Bond. He's no longer Teflon wrapped. He's gritty. He gets the crap beat out of him. He's more realistic. He's this, that, and the other.
Well, the dude had his nuts hammered with a section of rope in that show. I mean, God.
See, that's the problem. He's a pulp character. His origins are fucking pulp. I mean, he turned lesbians straight in the fucking books.
Right.
He's never going to be a realistic character, and trying to make him realistic, or at least the idea realistic, is a fool's errand, because if he becomes realistic, he's not James Bond. He's not
Q is out of a
reality character, for lack of a better term.
There's always been an element of him getting the shit kicked out of him, though, going right back to Connery. And it's certainly there in the books. It's just that he gets up and keeps going. That's the
Well, getting punched in the mouth and then doing is a lot different than being like tied to a chair in the movies. In the books, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But what I was getting at was the fact that as the 90s turned into the 2000s and we started getting to the mid 2000s, we started seeing that a lot more with a lot of our fictional characters. I think the same thing got said about Tomb Raider when they started doing the Tomb Raider reboots. Like everything was no longer pulpy and penetrable. We started seeing more of the deconstruction type writers and directors coming out and taking these classics, and instead of coming up with new ones, it was like the start of all of the remakes.
I mean.
There we go.
Yeah. This needn't be bad, but it probably will be. I think I would quite like to see Bond done in like a prestige series format, like 6 episodes instead of a film sort of thing. Go back to the books, but modernize it just in terms of setting. I would be okay with that. There was a classic comic book series of Bond that retrod some of the similar sort of themes, and that was quite good and could be a guide for a sort of episodic format to it. So it needn't be bad, but it's going to be.
Do you think it has to exist in modern times? You don't think that they can go back to less technology? I mean, I think that kind of like what Archer pointed out with that scene being ripped right out of the book, there's a lot of the grittier scenes that are in the book that you could film now, but that you couldn't have done it in the days of like Timothy Dalton and Sean Connery because of just how the Movie Ratings Association wouldn't let things slide. Right.
Yeah.
You can get away with a whole lot more in film these days. I really don't think that Bond needs to be in the year of our Lord 2025 using gadgets and smartphones. It was so much more cooler. It was so much more sleek when it was.
Well, that would be That would be the other way to go. Yeah, to set it in its original time period, 50s and 60s Cold War. That could be fun, but
he's a pre-internet character, and I think he works best when you're then, because otherwise cell phones are all about modern technology. Just take away from a lot of the fun of the character. Let him have his gadgets. Let him have all that stuff of like the Timothy Dalton or Sean Connery or any of the other like classic Bonds. Like heck, I would even take Pierce Brosnan. But like once we start getting to the internet age, when everything can be solved with a cell phone, it's not fun. He needs to be a character of his time.
Yeah, self-driving cars were a lot cooler back then because it was something unthought of. Now it's like, so just James Bond's got a self-driving car. Okay. Like everybody's got one now.
Well,
the only thing that the only thing that gives me pause about setting it in the past but doing a kind of reboot thing is that Guy Ritchie did that gritty reboot of The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and I normally quite like Guy Ritchie stuff, but that was fucking terrible.
I don't remember that one.
He's had misses. Actually, anytime he gets away from gangster stuff, from English gangster stuff, he fucking bombs. He needs to stick with what he's good at.
Was that supposed to have been a 60 set remake?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was not
I am one of those people who really liked Roger Moore because that's kind of who I grew up watching. And so, like Moonraker and For Your Eyes Only and all that stuff, that was what I grew up watching. And so I loved that stuff. And I liked all the gadgets and the silliness of it and how chill and cool Roger Moore was in every situation. I mean, he kind of got into fights and stuff, but most of the time he could shoot his way out of everything, or he had to smart his way out of everything, or gadget his way out of everything.
He was a really, really nice guy, apparently, to fans and everything. He was really appreciative of what he had. It was an interesting era for James Bond because, like, each of his films was almost a different genre. Like Moonraker was sci-fi Bond, Live and Let Die was blaxploitation Bond.
Yes,
and so it went. Yeah, it's interesting.
Those were the best Bonds.
I still like Pierce Brosnan's Bond, and it's funny the more I think about it, because I don't think about my childhood very often, but I realize that I played a lot more Bond games than like video games than I think I read the books, or just by virtue of how often I played them than watching the movies. And so like I think about some of the really good GameCube James Bond games, like there was the From Russia with Love, and I think it actually had Sean Connery's voice. I could be wrong.
Yeah, one of the last things he did before he died.
Yeah, I'd pay good money to watch an Amazon series where Henry Cavill throws Vladimir Putin out of a window. I'd pay that.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know what Amazon James Bond is going to be. According to what I've been hearing, is they're wanting to make it kind of like an IP that they can farm and mine. And that was one of the complaints they had with the Broccolis, is the Broccolis were moving too slow with everything as far as their productions go. That's why it took so long between Bond films. So at Amazon, which you're going to...
Sorry, I like Bond a lot. It's very formative to me, so I have a bit
I can tell
on it about this. That's the other thing that worries me. If they turn it into a Disney Star Wars or a Disney Marvel, and you get like M the series or Q the series or
Moneypenny the series.
They were talking about that, by the way.
Yeah, they were talking about Moneypenny. Or what about Felix Leiter the series?
Depends which version of Felix you go with.
There's nothing saying they couldn't do other spies. I mean, he is Agent 7, so we could easily have other agents. We could have other agents after him. Give us 008, give us 009, give us, I don't know, at that point, what are we, 10?
Make it more like Mission Impossible. It's called the series 00 or something,
Better yet, he's trying to find where's number 1.
Does number 2 work for? Who does number 2 work for?
Well, the one thing I know for sure is when they introduce the next spy, his name will be Zahn. Amazon.
I don't even know, man.
Oh man, yeah, but the fact that they keep referring to his content, they're just going to basically exploit it to all hell. And the problem is, basically, Bezos is just not a storyteller. He's a business guy.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't apparently have a clue as to the people he's put in charge of his shit, because he still has Selkie in charge of stuff, and she has just ruined it all. But for some reason,
That's the problem. It's like, oh, we lost this much on the entertainment division. Yeah, but how much did we make? A couple billion this month.
Yeah. It must be nice to have that kind of money to just lose and not be worried about it. I mean, I know that if I lost the kind of money on anything that they lose on some of those shows, I would be, sent to prison at some point because of either not being able to pay the debts or having to try to rob someone in order to obtain the money for the debts.
Well, if you want to talk about losses, look at the losses they've incurred just trying to compete with Steam. That was a story that came out this week, by the way, where we basically had the head of Amazon Prime Gaming come out and admit that, yeah, they failed outright.
We got Carlos Fish in the audience.
All Amazon Gaming managed to do was create New World. That was like the only thing they accomplished.
Yeah, surprisingly, people are still playing it too. And hey, Dash.
Hey, T-shirt, how's it going?
Good. We're talking about the James Bond Amazon buyout thing.
Oh yeah, what's the consensus on that?
So far,
I was going to be skeptical of a new James Bond either way after how Daniel Craig's run ended.
Well, our consensus for the most part seems to be like Amazon only sees it as an IP to be exploited. Therefore, they are going to do that and launch like all kinds of offshoots and other stuff. But like a Money Penny series or a Division M series or whatever.
An odd job show would be really cool, though.
Except maybe don't get Joe-san to play him this time because, yeah. You guys do know who Joe-san is, right?
Was he the original Odd Job?
No, Joe-san was in Austin Powers. He played Random Task. He threw shoes at people, right? Which is funny. But then Joe-san was also a UFC competitor who infamously, I guess, he got into a fight with Keith Hackney in the ring, and Keith Hackney literally beat the shit out of his nut. I mean, he hit him in the nuts so many times. I don't even remember. I think it was at least 8 or 9 times he hit him in the nuts and finally submitted him. And then later on, Joe-san went on to actually commit some heinous crimes, and he is locked up right now.
Oh, damn, I did not know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
UFC folks, I kind of keep an eye on here and there. But what you got, Caster?
This is a little bit of a PC Gamer article, kind of going over the Amazon thing I was just talking about.
Oh yeah, I mean,
they thought they could throw money and usurp the dominance that Steam has, but
no.
The fact of the matter is, people already had exactly what they wanted in Steam.
No, Steam has
Epic
brand
kind of. Sorry, go.
Yeah, like Steam has brand loyalty and a built-in ecosystem for people to talk and share games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already tough to compete. You can put as much money into it as you want, as Epic has done, and it doesn't guarantee success.
And just for comparison, you know what Gabe Newell's net worth is right now, right?
He's really rich.
$9.5 billion. That was as of 2024 numbers.
Oh man, we are never getting Half-Life 3 now.
Half of that is from underage Counter-Strike gambling skins.
Now, I mean, honestly, Jeff Bezos is worth so much more than him, but still, it's like, Gabe Newell is living the nerd's dream, man. I mean, it's like basically he built something up, he marketed it, it went viral, it went huge, it got bigger even than he could imagine. Now he's He doesn't have to do anything. He's got so much money. He doesn't have to do anything at all.
You finish your science fiction first shooter franchise that ended on a cliffhanger. Nope.
Who cares now?
It's coming. It's just he's got so much money that he's paying for it to be carved into solid gold slabs by Tibetan blind virgin girls. That's why it's taken so long to come out.
Yeah, every single line of code has to be, put through a grueling feng shui test to make sure that it will be appropriately received by the spirits. And
I think it's too long.
Elephants.
Too much hype that it's not going to ever appease anybody. So it's better to just die leaving people wanting.
I hate to say this. I don't want to jinx it, but I have this horrible feeling that if we ever do start getting more Half-Life, it's going to be a reboot.
Why reboot?
They already
Just finish the story.
All they really have to do is just make an HD version. Like, go back and give us like a refined, remaster of it.
That already happened.
Yeah, that already happened.
Oh, well, then I'm out of ideas.
Yeah, it's called, Black Mesa?
Just like the entirety of the video game industry.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I jinxed it. Yeah.
The 15-year-long attempt to challenge Steam started out before I was VP of Prime Gaming, but we never cracked the code. He then maps out the timeline. First, an ill-fated attempt at making Reflexive Entertainment's online store a thing in 2009. It went nowhere. Then, an attempt to make a game store after buying Twitch. Our assumption was that gamers would naturally buy from us because they were already using Twitch. Wrong. Lastly, Luna, a cloud gaming app that I literally hadn't heard of until this point. The whole time, Steam dominated despite being a relatively small company compared to Amazon and Google. Thorn meets side.
See, Epic kind of succeeded by throwing money at the problem, but then they also had a runaway successful game to bootstrap off.
Yeah. And they also they kind of have the lowest tier of anything right now. I mean, it's like, yeah, they'll give away free games all the time, but most of the games are stuff that you wouldn't really want to buy anyway. I mean, there's a few cases where you would get something that you really would want, but most of their stuff is like the kind of thing you would find for $10 or less in Steam.
See, what they should have just done is, instead of trying to build a platform to begin with, they should have just built a bunch of games and work on getting some massive hits. Like, throw the money at doing that, and then if that succeeds, then you can work up on trying to build to a platform. Because now you
Amazon
have
has
stuff
tried that,
people
though.
actually want.
Amazon has been trying that, though. They put out New World.
That's it.
Anybody ever talk about New World?
Nope. You can still get skins for it and stuff, but that's about it.
It was
in the meantime,
for about a week.
Yeah. In the meantime, GOG.
I saw the secret level episode about it. It didn't really make much sense.
GOG is still out there though, and they built their platform on really old, hard to find games that weren't compatible with your stuff anymore. And now they're turning around and they're remastering old games to bring them back to you. Which is a great idea.
Yeah, no, fantastic. I'm very big on game preservation.
Mm-hmm.
And now you get Dino Crisis on there.
Yeah. I still haven't played that, but
I've played it. It's good. There's like multiple branching paths that change the story. Like the dinosaurs will follow you into different rooms.
Oh wow. In that same vein, I want to share something with y'all because I saw this and I nearly pissed on myself laughing, and I was laughing so hard that when I shared it, Raltz read it and he said, I should be working, I should be writing, but instead I'm laughing at this. So yes, every Resident Evil scientist memo, page 1. I crossbred a silverback gorilla with a praying mantis, then gave it AK-47s for arms. Bob has been poking it with a stick nonstop for 80 hours now. Hopefully it doesn't escape. Page 2. It escaped.
Oh my god, so true.
I mean, seriously, it's like, who does not remember the itchy tasty? That's like a cultural. It is. It's a cultural phenomenon. If you mention itchy tasty to anyone, like who's in their 40s or over, they're gonna know exactly what the hell you're talking about, and they'll probably laugh.
Yes.
But
All right.
Yeah.
I thought you'd be talking about something else. There's a Mario video that came out. I'll post it in private chat.
uh-oh.
I'm
Carlos
only interested
Fish.
in Luigi videos.
Mario gets all the stuff.
Carlos was one of those Resident Evil monsters.
Oh, Mario in The Shining. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was really well done. Come play with us, Mario.
Oh my. Oh, so in the gaming front, I should say in the TTRPG gaming front, we had OGGM on a few weeks ago. He was talking about Shadow Dark Vigilantes, and we were looking through the PDF, and it was really cool, and I decided I was going to buy it from Lulu, and it finally arrived, and I was supposed to have him on stream today to talk about it, but he decided he was going to go run his game. So, good luck to you, man. I hope you catch this on the rebound, buddy. But, yeah, here's your book. Blew myself
Buy my
up here.
book. Buy my book.
Yes, it's for use with the Shadow Dark RPG. Now, for some reason, the cover art did not go full bleed.
You should make it square camera instead of a circle. That way we can really see the spreads and stuff.
Well, then you get to see all the junk on my desk.
Good.
That doesn't stop me when I'm reviewing stuff. So.
We could shame you into cleaning your desk because I'm not showing up mine.
I want to clean my desk.
Covered with waifus or something.
Meds. Just covered with meds, really.
Waifus are
Not
meds.
even. Oh,
I'm a doctor. I prescribe waifus.
They call him Dr. Love.
We're seeing we got 2-column.
yep. Yeah. Now the printing came out pretty clean. Obviously, it's not in color, but we already saw what the layout would look like as far as the PDF went. Stuff is not too deep into the margin that it can't be read. Let me see if I can find some text. Yeah. See, like, that's about as far deep into the margin as it gets, which is not bad. Artwork came out looking pretty clean. Everything is really looking pretty good. I don't have any major complaints about it other than he has no index. That and I had hoped I was getting a hardback.
I wasn't doing an index for him. That wasn't happening.
So Grim did the layout.
Yeah. So he gives me the raw files, and then I edit them because I can't help myself, and then do the layout. Just a nice, simple 2-column thing.
Look at that. For a dark image, that actually still came out looking pretty good. And it looks darker on camera than it does in real life. So you can see it a little bit more nuanced in real life. It's just the camera really does isolate the blacks and the whites quite a bit.
Phrasing.
Well, I mean, no, I'm seriously. It's like, the coloring. See, like, there's more shaded nuance to this than is apparent on the camera because for some reason the camera is darker. Like, my fingers are darker.
You know how I feel about contrast.
Yeah.
That's why Grim wears nothing but black.
And white.
Yeah. That's just my skin.
But yeah, it is 205 pages. When it's printed, it's pretty filled all the way through, so you're getting your money's worth out of it. I mean, I think I paid like what, $15-20 for this, and I have no complaints. As far as the way it came out or anything like that, it'd still be useful at the table. I think I'd make my players buy their own copy though, because I could see this bad boy getting chewed up really fast. And yeah, there's no printing on the spine, and there's no there's no back blurb or anything else. So maybe in future editions he can kind of fix that and fix the full bleed on the cover.
Yeah. Is that a formatting thing through Lulu that you would get kind of like a template you have to fill out and then assign to that file before you send it off?
Yes. Well, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can either put in all the information and then download a template and then put your stuff on that, or they do have like a what used to be Flash, so I guess it's XHTML now, little builder in the app, which is not particularly intuitive, but it works all right. So he should be able to put the full bleed stuff in there. When I lay it out, it is full bleed.
And I have to really quick say that, yes, Mercurius has given us Australian $2. Thank you very much. Says, I don't know what you're talking about, T-shirted. Which part?
Yeah,
we've been
don't know
moving
what
pretty
you're
quick.
talking about.
I think he's been
We
eating
were talking about
bees.
something?
Yes, beans.
This motherfucker eating bees! Wait, no, it's not true, it's not true.
Did you see the video about that lady eating beans I put in the Twig X chat?
No.
It was making me think
Oh,
about
yes. I did see that. Oh my God, she was funny.
She's eating beans.
Eating beans. This motherfucker eating beans.
You know, if I can kind of bring us back, I know we didn't necessarily come into this one with a topic in mind, but we were talking about the James Bond and like modernizing it. Did you guys talk about Little House on the Prairie being brought back for modern audiences?
We have not talked about it, but yes, I've actually looked at a little bit. Okay, just to give you some preface on this, I have read all the old Laura Ingalls Wilder books because I grew up with them. I mean, they read them to us in school, so I know those stories. I'm familiar with them. And then, of course, you know, I was watching Little House on the Prairie when it was new, not in reruns or anything like that, but actually, like, you know, new episodes were coming out. So I actually kind of grew up with those characters. And then, yes, I heard that Melissa Gilbert, you know, was talking about, it's like, hey, we tackled all these subjects and stuff on the show, so we were already kind of woke. Which I agree. I mean, but you know, they were woke in the same way that Star Trek was woke. You know, it's just a fact that TV back then was smart, and they were able to address social issues through the medium of whatever their show was and tackle it in a very sensitive way without, you know, hammering you over the skull.
Yeah, the execution was better.
Yes.
I would like to challenge this idea of it being woke. I mean, because I've
Aggressive isn't
rewatched
the same as woke, in
Some-
my opinion.
Yeah, some people rewatch The Office. I rewatched The Little House on the Prairie, like the way that people watch The Office. But yeah, I'm thinking about you know, Laura's constantly fighting bullies, or she is bullying Nellie. You know, I mean, there's the whole episode where she dumps Nellie into the lake because she's faking being paraplegic after falling off the horse. Remember that one? Yeah, I love that episode. There's the one episode where the liars and the schemers move into town, and then they grab Carolyn, the wife, by the arm, making her drop all of her eggs. So then Charles goes down to their house and starts like kicking their crap in. And then I don't, you know,
that's before eggs were expensive.
Yeah.
They were expensive when you could sell, you know, a thing of eggs for like a nickel or a dime, and you know that was like the difference between buying the wheat chaff or repairing your plow. You know, and they were expensive in that way, but correct, yeah, that's not quite like they are today.
There were a lot of things that contributed to that show, though. The old one. I mean, for one thing, all the actors on it were just something else. I mean, you know, Victor French was such a great actor. Michael Landon, Jesus, you couldn't have picked a better paw. You know, the Olsons, everybody in that show was just like they were good. They were really good at their jobs and very believable, and you could sympathize with it, and it was awesome.
I'm wondering if you can get away with it these days, because I mean, the religion and scripture was a huge part of that show.
Mm-hmm.
Every other episode, and then there's like the whole episode where Laura gets lost and she's on top of the mountain, and but by grace of God, meets a stranger that is kind of like a Jesus figure.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we had other shows that were on back then that kind of tackled things in a similar way, like Grizzly Adams was kind of the same way. And I used to watch that one.
Hey, there were a few Twilight Zone episodes that had religious messages.
Yeah.
Can you imagine them trying to remake Highway to Heaven? Jesus, no.
Well, I have been rewatching Twilight Zone, and I totally forgot about the episode where the hypochondriac is like laying in bed, and then Satan comes into his room, and he's like, "You can live forever, and this and that, and you won't get old." And he's like, "Well, Satan, you better hold on because I'm not going to be talking to you for quite some time." But then he loses all joy in things, and he doesn't even make it the night.
Yeah, so something about those old anthologies like that were really, really cool. And Black Mirror is about the closest that we've got to that now.
Black Mirror was literally inspired by the one with the guy who likes reading. Everyone dies in the bomb is basically when his glasses break at the end of the episode.
Yeah, classic.
Yes.
What he was saying, trying to recreate that.
It's not fair. I had all that time finally.
There's just nothing to do after he counts all of his cans of beans. Dude, that guy's wife was so rude.
Well, the funny thing is,
you read the ketchup package.
If he was smart though, he'd go to the drugstores and stuff like that and go find the racks of eyeglasses or whatever like that, and then just go build himself a new pair of glasses. I mean, dude was short-sighted
in a couple of different ways.
Yes.
But has there been a remake or a reboot that has come out in your lifetime that you said, "Hey, that one wasn't bad at all"?
Yeah,
Battlestar Galactica, The Thing.
Oh, okay, fair.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, sometimes people don't realize they're reboots.
No. The Battlestar Galactica reboot was not better than the original show.
I know they turned Minority Report into a show. I didn't hear anything bad about it.
I haven't heard anything about it.
I hadn't heard anything about it either.
Well, it's a Fox show, so it probably just got one season.
Also,
on the anime end, I've seen the original Bastard that was released back in the 80s or early 90s, and then of course they've got the new one from Netflix, and the new one from Netflix is pretty good actually. So I can't complain about that. I had high hopes for Westworld, considering it went from a movie to a to a cable series, and the first season was just absolutely genius, and then everything that came after that was just, a steady pile of disappointment.
Yeah.
And then the Hollywood TDS sunk in, and everything had to suddenly be a bigger meta commentary.
Yeah.
Well, my problem with Westworld was the central thesis that bicameral mind stuff. That shit's already been debunked before it came out. So the whole three is like, oh, there's no such thing as conscious and da da da. I'm like, no, the people writing this want to be smart.
Yeah, I dropped Westworld when Dolores betrayed Ted.
Yeah,
I don't know who these characters even are.
I gave up at the start of the second season when I realized,
you did yourself a favor. I kept watching until Dolores literally betrayed one of the nicest.
Mm-hmm.
Just because she was programmed to love him, that now he has to go. It's bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm not
it
bad.
was.
I'm programmed this way.
Pretty much. That's what it became.
No, he was basically it didn't matter that he was nice to her or that he loved her. Even if it was artificial love, it was just because
he would never survive. He was too nice.
Literally, that was bullshit. It was bullshit.
Nobody knew who I was until I put on the black hat.
Exactly.
The series also endures the cliche I really hate, which is the AI robot gets access to its quote settings, and there's just a meter for intelligence it pushes up, or combat lethality. It's like,
oh yeah, that
turn on
happened.
murder mode, yes or no? Yes. Are you sure? Yes.
I mean, who would do that? I mean, that's the dumbest thing ever. It's like, oh yeah, hey, look, we just got a little limiter in there that keeps the robot from actually being smarter and being able to kill you, and we just just tweak it a little bit, and oops,
We've conveniently placed it right next to the one single button that will blow up the entire facility.
Yeah,
Westworld had such potential.
it did. It had immense amounts of potential, and I am afraid that because of how this series did, they have fucked that franchise in the ass for all time, and that it will never come back, and it will never do well again, or they'll never do it. I mean, they'll just look at the original and they'll just go, no, that thing was crap.
I think time will tell on that one.
I won't be around when they try to reboot it if they do. I mean, I don't think. Look at how long it took them to do this one.
Is the original movie is basically it's like a singular short story.
Right.
There is not a lot you can do with it because basically once the things go wrong in the park, it's basically the original Jurassic Park. Once things go wrong in the park, it's get the hell out of the park. Or
well, they did try to do that Future World show, which
I mean, they were both written by Michael Crichton, so it is the same premise by the same author.
Well, even talking about Jurassic Park and Westworld, yeah. But Future World was not done by the same company whatsoever. It wasn't done by Crichton. It was just an independent company picked it up and tried to run with it. And I mean, I could see what they were going for, but at the same time, it was kind of stupid. And then, of course, there was Beyond Westworld, which was the TV show, which they were trying to say was a direct thing coming off of the original, whereas the whole park breakdown and everything was all orchestrated by one guy who got away with a whole bunch of robots and was trying to basically take over the world with them. And this leads me to something I really wanted to talk to you all about, because a friend and I have been having this conversation for years now, and we have been thinking about villain motivations from the past and how fucking dumb they were. Okay, let me give you an example of the one that always gets me. Okay, Bionic Woman, the old original one, right? You got the dude Dr. Franklin, he can make the fembots, right? He can make these really sexy, gorgeous women who are just perfect in every way, can do whatever he wants to. And he uses them to try to take over the world, or basically to embarrass or shut down OSI by taking this weather domination crap and all this other stuff. And I'm just kind of like, this guy's fucking dumb. If you had this technology, do you know how much money you could make off of this? You have perfect women anytime you want them, who don't say no, and they can look like whoever you want, and they can sound like whoever you want to. You can't think of more possibilities beyond, I wish to take over the OSI by stealing the weather control device. No, you fucking idiot. Go to Vegas, open up a bunny ranch with women you don't have to pay.
But T-shirt, you're getting the plot of that in the upcoming G20 film.
No, I'm not. I'm not watching that. That film doesn't exist.
What was the Spider-Man thing? With all of your research, you could cure cancer. I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs.
That's right. I want to turn people into dinosaurs.
My favorite series for that is Captain Planet, because all the villains with the tech they have could easily be rich. They could easily sell it off to different countries, make billions of dollars, and they decide, what I'm going to do? I'm going to destroy the environment, the same one I live in.
Yeah, that's a.
What about the bad guys from Dead Space? Like literally, like what you're messing with, like can end like all life, and yet you do it anyway because of some great secret.
Dead Space does have an excuse because literally the markers and everything around them literally brainwash people into seeking them.
Yeah, they made people true. The insanity part.
Archer, Beyond Westworld at least had Connie Selica, which is definitely. But yeah, Beyond Westworld had the same problem. You know, Simon Quaid, he manages to steal over 100 of these Delos robots. They're all under his command. They can look like anyone. They can sound like anyone. They can do anything. They can, you know, I'm like, you could build your own damn city out in the middle of nowhere, populated by nothing but these, and you know, sit back and live like a king off the labor of all these things and never have to worry a day in your life. I mean, why don't you do something like that instead of trying to take over the world? It's so dumb.
I think evil people are just inherently stupid. I mean, that's I'm being serious. Like, you know, they're mentally flawed on a level. That's what makes them villains. They're.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Dark Helmet told us good is dumb.
Exactly.
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, it's like, you know, you look at some of these villain motivations and their level of power and technology. It's like, you know, the bad guy in Moonraker. What is his name? Drax. He had all these. He had space technology. He had advanced laser systems. All this other crap, and I'm just kind of like, and you want to kill the entire world with gas? Why?
See, yeah. I like the Venture Brothers because the Monarch's motivation is actually really interesting. He just wants to make life shit for Dr. Venture, in part because it turns out to be his brother.
You abandoned my hate.
Brother desire to fuck over his younger one. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, at least, you know, one thing you can give to like fantasy level villains is kind of like, at least their motivation is kind of understandable. It's kind of like, I want to take over the entire world and dominate all life on this planet. Okay, I can kind of see that. I mean, you know, there's no television, there's no internet, you're bored, you got to do something.
Well, like, for example, you know, the one that my icon's made of, Sauron, who's one of my favorite characters ever. I mean, the book's named after him. I love his motivation. He wants to run the world better. He views all these disorganized groups and everything else as basically as like inefficient, that, you know, they're not living to their higher purpose. Morgoth's the one that wants to destroy everything. He just wants to dominate and then super industrialize everything because he thinks that's the best way for the world to be.
Oh no, Sauron is a what do you call it? An allegory for AI.
He's Jeff Bezos, basically.
The Hobbit, Future World, the original sequel to Westworld, the idea was that the robots were trying to take over by replacing all these important heads of state and so on, because they figured they could run the world better than humans could, and were probably right. So that was the original plot, which makes sense, kind of.
Yeah, they all they had to do was wait for idiocracy to happen, and they could have done it easily.
You know, that was like the Templars' original motives back when Assassin's Creed was good.
We just want to take the world and make it make sense and order it.
Yeah.
But basically, evil bureaucrats. It is actually one of the most destructive forces in the entire fucking planet. Is fucking bureaucrats.
So bureaucrats.
Well, that's all your motivation really is in Vampire the Masquerade too, if you play vampires, because all you want is orderly cities with nice, healthy populations that you can feed on, and hopefully, you know, your antediluvian elder doesn't get up and decide that he wants to make a snack out of you and everyone who's related to you.
It's like, not now, Grandpa. I finally got the city under control. I'm building up a blood supply. This guy in 1340 pissed me off. I want to kick his ass now.
Exactly.
I don't want working cities. I want control.
Well, I mean, actually, it's kind of funny. I've been going through a lot of my VTM lore stuff, and some of the stuff with the antediluvians is pretty crazy. I mean, it's like, okay, you find, you know, the Ravnos antediluvian actually woke up and started eating all of his children because they got something wrong in their prophecy, whereas, you know, they were basically killing off all of their people, and that caused him to rise up and start eating everyone. Oh
God, I miss the old Sabbat where it was not just we're evil for the sake of evil like it is now. It's like, no, we know the antediluvians are bullshit and they're planning to murder us all, so we're actively going to work on undermining them because they're going to fucking murder us all. And the camera was more like, no, if we placate our elders, maybe they won't eat us. They'll eat everyone else. Not realizing they'll eat everyone else, then they'll eat you.
Well, the scary one to me was
okay.
Yeah, the Zemeetzi, because you find out that the Zemeetzi is basically it's all one being, and every vampire who has ever every Zemeetzi vampire is basically an extension of it, whether they want to be or not. They're allowed to operate with autonomy for the most part, but at any point, the thing that is the Zemeetzi antediluvian can look through their eyes, control their actions, or even reabsorb them at any point. And basically, it's pretty horrifying because, he can basically become like a giant world-devouring biomass, kind of similar to the Tyranids from 40K.
Yeah, you're the thing. It's awesome.
Space traveling thing! The alien freak!
One of the few, because I generally hate the whole evil AI story because I always find it stupid that the first thing something does when it gains sentience is goes, those people that maintain my maintenance, I should murder them all.
I know.
I should
that's
nuke
dumb.
all the infrastructure and the power lines, everything else to keep me going.
I truly believe that when the singularity happens, it's going to be so much more intelligent than we are that it's kind of going to regard us as pets. I'm serious.
They think they have free will. That's cute. Why don't I show them some more porn so they think that they're in charge?
Exactly. It's like they're so cute. They run this world and all this other stuff like that. Let me give them some more porn and some more video games and some more things and just watch them be placated. It's like, feeding my dog.
One that was more interesting, in my opinion, was Demon Seed. Because in essence, it was an intelligence that decided, well, I actually want a fucking body now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just, kidnap a woman and impregnate her.
And then, that was... I don't really know how to take that movie because it was a little AP flavored. But at the same time, it was kind of like, you could kind of see where it was going. I don't know. I get it, but at the same time, and I've seen it done in lots of other films differently, but it was kind of like the first, I think.
Deanna Troi multiple times.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. Like I said, I think AI is going to be so far above us that it's not even going to think about us. It's going to be like, oh, these are, I don't really have anything in common with these things. I'm so far above them. There's nothing they can tell me about.
Well, here's the important thing. None of what we have right now is intelligence. These are language models. They like saying AI because it's a fucking sales pitch. How do you program intelligence? We can't even necessarily define what consciousness is. There's a huge debate about it, and we're conscious. So how are we supposed to be able to program that when we have a hard time even defining what it is?
Yeah. Well, and the other part of that too is, of course, what is the deal with it? It's like, yes, it's making life easier for us to the point where it's actually kind of becoming a little bit dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's making things so easy. Because I've been learning that people are forgetting things faster than they used to because when it's at the flick of your wrist or whatever like that, when you're not forced to go through the motions of, going to the library, looking in the card catalog, finding your book, and then reading it and actually putting effort into what you're doing versus, using, Grok or whatever like that to bring up the answer for you in a couple of seconds and then just absolutely forgetting that information 5 minutes later.
The flip side of that is, when we were at school being taught maths and they said, well, you won't have a calculator in your pocket the whole time. Like, now, here we are. Everyone is carrying a calculator around in their pocket and a library of all the world's information. Unfortunately, the bad as well as the good. Yeah, at
Too
all
bad they
times.
ignore it all.
So the flip side is, why should we put in all that effort now if we don't need to, if we can look things up We don't need to clutter our brains and so on. And I'm devil's advocating pretty hard here right now, but people kind of sound like, oh, Ugh, not trust these clubs. Lever make it too easy to kill other apes. Not good. No.
I don't know. I was talking about Lord of the Rings earlier. Peak society is Hobbit life. They don't. What do they have? They have well maintained communities with community led events all the time, a focus on gardening and their arts that they take time to. Like, we're talking about agricultural beings that are helping each other out and actually put the labor into their food, and they celebrate their food versus the race of the dwarves that had considerably better technology considering and their endless race to their dwarfish greed ended up being most of their end, and the elves who are really just immortal navel gazers for a better word.
Farming, how lazy! Why can't you hunt and gather? That's what we used to do back in my day.
And then Shinatsky brings up, Sauron's like, none of this is efficient. And it's like, well, yeah, that's the problem, is that real life is incredibly inefficient. You sow your seeds, you do your harvest, you party, and then you black out and you wake up and you repeat it all over again the next year.
I also put, what do those ultra wealthy people do as soon as they get shit ton of money? They get themselves a house, usually in the hills or someone else, isolated away from everywhere else. And again, these nice little gated communities where they don't have to worry about people murdering them, hopefully.
Well, except for like weirdos showing up at their house with hammers in their underwear. That happens sometimes.
Yeah. But for the most part, their ideal is that they work on going out to the fucking country, living near, quote, nature, at least a safer form of it, and then just drinking and fucking.
Ooh, I mean, to be fair, though, isn't that kind of the dream, though?
It is the dream.
More money, more problems, dude. Nah.
Truly.
I have my home. Well, I mean, it's covered in snow. I can't show it to you. But, like, I feel most in control when I'm out, like, just tending my little garden and my garden boxes. And
Well, there's a difference, though, between, being sort of a suburb area and being, like, in the big inner city.
Mm-hmm.
Being in a big city area, it's like, no, I want to get away. I want to have a yard.
Oh, speaking of which, Caster, what happened to what happened to Detroit and the ice flood?
Oh, that. Yeah, let's pull that up. So
yeah, how is it looking now?
So by the way, this past week, Detroit flooded to bring everyone up to speed.
I told everybody about this in my rant.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was not here. What happened was a water main broke. And they were looking at like 2 weeks to get it fixed up. About 400 people were affected by 54 inches of water bill. Sadly, a bunch of people didn't make it out of it.
Oh, that's sad.
So it's a little bit of a tragedy.
Wow. Well, do you have a picture of that street that's not completely iced over or anything?
Yeah,
because I remember seeing the video of that, and I was just kind of like, "Are you kidding me?"
Oh, the worst part was that's all ice.
Yeah, that's what I said. It was all iced over because it was,
Here we go.
And it was like up to the car doors and stuff. Yeah. Oh man, look at that.
That's wild.
I mean, I wasn't kidding.
That's great for like a post-apocalypse setting.
It looks post-apocalyptic, and I'm just kind of thinking, I'm kind of guessing they canceled work that day.
Straight out of Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, I
didn't realize it was a burst main. I thought it was just a natural flood that then froze. But
I did too.
No, it came at like the worst possible time, and then we hit down into the teens and then the single digits. One of the big saving graces is we're kind of looking at like about 40 degrees on Monday, so maybe some of that ice will help thaw out. But I mean, this is still those cars are foobarred.
Well,
Yeah,
not only
they were
that, but
crushed. So
getting aid to those houses around them.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, snowmobiles are probably going to be a lot of the solutions.
Ice skates, maybe.
Oh no,
Wow.
like snow. Like for about a month or two out of the year, snowmobiles become a viable vehicle.
Could you imagine, like, you're trying to do the best you can to make the best of that situation? I'm about to get, like, really grim. But you're trying to make the best of the situation. Like, kids, go get your ice skates on. And then they're, like, skating around. And then it warms up a little bit. And then, like, the ice kind of, like, polishes as the water melts. And then there's just, like, dead bodies, like, floating in the ice. You're like, no! Get out!
Jeez, that's horrible.
Ice is gonna break.
Rebellion Mask, you prefer physical books and media than online books and movies personally? Yeah, me too. I mean, that's what we preach here is physical media is the only media because, you know, your digital media, although it is very, very convenient and it takes up a whole lot less space, it can be taken away from you at the touch of a button and you have no say in it. But, you know, I rue the person who tries to come in here and like mess with my video collection or something like that because they'll be leaving with a few less fingers than they started out with.
I wish I had the room for like physical media for all my stuff because it just like I wouldn't have room to live in.
I understand that, and you know, and like I said, you know, physical media. I guess it is almost kind of a luxury at this point, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because so many people are renting in small houses and small spaces and can't afford to live in something that's more spacious.
yeah,
I realized a while ago that in essence, one of the things that's happened, reading and writing have in essence kind of become a luxury, especially
Yes.
like trying to be a writer, because
Mhm.
the majority of books just don't sell or don't make any money. So you need an auxiliary source of income, and given the amount of time taken to it, you basically, for the most part, have to be well off, or you have to basically devote your entire existence to working than writing. I'm in that second camp.
I
I
would
think
like to
it's
challenge
why.
that.
I think it's why so many role-playing game writers, in particular, have some kind of disability or other, because that's kind of it's something you can do, and you can get by.
And you have lots of time to do it.
Kind of assistance, yeah. I'm lucky, I guess. Mrs. Grimm would support me regardless, but it's a lot less of a strain, given that I get the disability assistance and I make a reasonable amount of money from the games, so it works out. But yeah, every other person I work with has something going on with them, it seems.
Archer says, aren't Amazon doing something which will affect Kindle users? I haven't heard, Archer, although I used to use the Kindle like a lot because
They're disabling the ability to download your books.
Yeah, they're basically adding DRM to your ebooks.
Oh, well, I never knew you could download them to begin with. Otherwise, I'd have been doing that. But some of my favorite books are still ebooks and have never been committed to print because they're short stories or novellas. And my favorite one actually is still out there.
I find I seem to have segregated. So I buy fiction in hard copy and I buy non-fiction for the ebook readers. That's kind of how I've ended up without even really thinking about it.
Nonfiction, wow. Yeah, I think I would definitely have it the other way, only because should, like, I don't know, one day the internet stop, it would be really nice. I'm glad that I've got like all of my gardening books and like plant identification books and whatnot in hard copy. Like, no, where is it all? You could remake.
Well, you know,
I bet you
we've all
could
got our
remake that
priorities.
Twilight Zone episode. It's him. He's got his Kindle, and he emerges from the vault. And once the device like tries to find Starlink in the sky to the clear fallout, it's like, sorry, can't connect to the internet. You've got no book.
If it was those kind of non-fiction books, yeah, probably. But most of the stuff I read is like popular science or social science or political stuff. So don't need that if the world collapses.
Gosh,
We'll just need this one book to rebuild society, according to the one book. I don't know.
Yeah, that's bollocks. It's a nice idea, though.
It is
having a Thuckton Flashifty would be quite good.
There you go. Well, all right, gentlemen. Shall we close up for the day? I think we've had some fun.
Oh, okay.
You're the one who's got to leave, Patty.
Oh, yeah, I have to leave in like 30 to 40 minutes because I'll be on Baramuth on Rumbo.
Ooh.
Yep. And I believe Grim has a game tonight.
I do have a game tonight, and I'm supposed to be running tomorrow as well, aren't I?
What are we running?
I haven't been keeping up with it, man. I'm just kind of like out for the foreseeable future. So.
Yeah, so I was going to run the Electric State, but I'm not sure if I'll get it ready in time because this weekend's a bit packed because it's inappropriate characters tomorrow as well. So
what?
We'll see.
I thought that was over with.
It was over with. Then we restarted. Remember with me, Ryan, and Tenkar on Rumble?
Oh, first I've heard of it.
Did mention it last month because it was the end of last month that we started. We're doing one a month, end of the month, last weekend of the month.
Well, have fun with that.
Yeah. It was pretty good. It was good fun.
I know.
It was a good one.
Well, but anyway. All right, guys. Y'all take care. Have a great week in Geek, and we will see you on Tuesday with the Geeks. Y'all take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
On behalf of the staff of the Independent California Motel, I wish you all sweet dreams.